welcome back to another episode of Big Witch Energy. Today, Bree and I are joined with a super special, amazing guest that we are so excited to talk to today. The one, the only, Catherine Haggquist. Hello, Catherine.
Hello, Theora and
Thank
Bree,
you.
and hiding in the back, Caitlin, because I am not going to forget you, girl.
We call out Caitlin all the time, so thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for joining
necessary.
us. Yes. Yes, we absolutely adore Petra. She is one of our favorite characters on the show, and just thank you so much for just making her who she is. She's so iconic and wonderful, and just we love her so much.
And complicated and layered. That's like the biggest thing.
It's such a gift in the writing, because it would be really easy to make her very static and one note. And they've just given her so many layers and complicated scenarios to contend with that it's been such a joy.
Number one, how much of Petra's story arc did you know when you were first cast?
Almost none.
Wow.
Yeah.
None. Like, I knew I was the mother, or Petra was the mother of Abigail, and that they were being conscripted. But in terms of what unfolded, even through season 1, much less season 2 and 3, it wasn't really shared with me till we had shot season 1, and then I was given sort of a sense of where things were going for 2 and 3, and was delighted and thrilled and excited, and yeah, but I didn't know going in.
Oh,
wow!
What that must be like to work with.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I'm a naturally curious person, so wanting to know is part of how I'm made up, but it also just made it fun to explore the work from that place. Like, why is she doing this? What is going on? And before we started season 2, I was able to have a Zoom meeting with all the writers about sort of what was happening for each episode and what their plans were. And that was really awesome. And then just season 3, we kind of knew where we were headed a little bit, but we didn't know how it was going to resolve, because we knew it was third and final. So in some ways, I had a couple of meetings with producers sort of along the way, saying sort of, here's what the overall arc is, and here's what may change and might be different and might work out this way. So it was really neat to sort of not have all the answers sort of going in, and get to be delighted by sort of where things were developing, even though you sort of had a general shape to work towards. So it was really fun.
That's so fun. It's like you kind of get to create Petra like as it goes on, which is actually pretty exciting. Think about it.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Like she is like, from the descriptor you had at the beginning, like it could have been so one dimensional, but she just evolved and became this fully fleshed person, and just so fascinating as a character. So that's amazing.
Thank you. I love your choice of words too, because it evolved as she had to tackle different things. And so her starting point, it wasn't just that she changed for change's sake. She had to respond to the circumstances that were given to her, and had to manage and navigate and balance and to choose. And so it was really an evolution. And I think she also had to learn from Abigail, because I think Abigail and Minerva led her to a reframing of her own journey. So I think it, I love that you said evolve.
Yes. Oh, and I love that you brought up the Bellweather mother-daughter dynamic, because that transitions into our next question really nicely. Because overall, like, Bellweather mother-daughter relationship seems very complicated, shall we say? And so we definitely get a glimpse into that with Petra and Abigail, and Minerva too, a little bit. I hope we see more of her. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, when Petra was kind of growing up, like, was her relationship with her mother similar to way Petra and Abigail kind of are to each other, or was it a little bit different? Did it shape Petra?
My work on it in terms of making choices for myself was that it was. And I think that is part of sort of generational anything, is that one generation sort of shows the next, and then that either gets duplicated or advanced or rejected. And so I think because Minerva is so clearly held in such high esteem, and is held there because of her living up to the previous Bellweather legacies that had come before her, I think that's very much baked into the Petra cake, as you'd put it. And then I think that's also why it becomes so meaningful when Petra is faced with Minerva's support for Abigail's moving away from that, because it would be so, I mean, it's that way in almost any grandchild thing. It's like, wait a minute, where were you when I was a kid? Because what you're letting them do isn't like what is happening right now.
Right? It's so different.
That's so
Such a
true.
generational
Who's this woman?
Right?
relationship.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you pointed that
I love
out.
that they
That's so true.
included that, so that it's not just this stoic, stilted thing, but that Minerva's evolution, so that she can support her granddaughter, has to have that play with what she did to Petra. So
Yeah,
I love that it was so fully realized, and something we can
Minerva's out
relate
here
to.
giving her Abigail ice cream for dinner, and
You right?
Right. She is.
Letting her pick only one husband. What is that about?
yeah,
What is
what
that
the heck?
Minerva.
Oh man. So at the end of season 2, Petra is somewhat adrift. She's committed a high crime in the eyes of the civilian government by helping our fugitives, including her daughter, escape. So where's her head when she gets back to Fort Salem after saying goodbye to that whole group at the bus?
I don't think Petra thinks that she has committed a high crime. I think Petra believes she needs to be allowed to do her due diligence to figure out how justice is best served. And so I think that is still her guiding principle. I think her code is still intact. I also think she's having a really bad first day on the job.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it's that careful what you wish for, you might just get it kind of dynamic. And I also think she realizes a sense of balance and a sense of equilibrium that she brought to Alder, that now Alder is not there to bring for her. And so I think she legitimately recognizes and appreciates what they were like as a sort of yin and yang force to keep each other in check, and that everything kind of swirls out of balance when you're missing that countervailing force. So I think the combination of trying to figure out what is going on to protect the witch army, the larger community, her daughter, and the world by extension, is a lot for her to contend with. And I think she just needs a minute, a hot minute, even, if you will, to catch her breath and to get her feet under her in this new role. And I think that is also why her leadership style is very community. Like, she wants to know from Anacostia, she wants to know from her other generals, she wants to weigh and consider without it slowing down what needs to get addressed, but that to utilize the resources she does have left.
Yeah, Petra is definitely resourceful. That is definitely a phenomenal descriptor from her. And her leadership style it's very different from Alder. And I think that will serve her very well going forward. So I do love that about her. And
I also think that the her being the the head of intelligence probably aided in that as well, as far as like she's had to be the one to come up with all of the actual intel or to source the intel. So that's a really good way. Yeah, I really do like her leadership style as opposed to Alders, who's always never had that like other experience.
Well, I don't know that she never had it. It's just that she's had Alder had 200 plus years of it.
Yeah,
So, you go through it once. This is all fairly new to Petra, whereas, there's a couple of go-rounds that Alder would have had. So I think that is, no disrespect to Alder, but I think that's part of what her style was born out of.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that in terms of the Petra leadership style, the intel is one thing, but because the intel is indicating that it's a whole bunch of new things, I think that the fact that she relies on Isadora as much as she does as well is also a credit to her leadership style, because she recognizes that not on every subject she may not be the smartest woman in the room. She will be the most strategic and tactical, but she can go to her experts for the things she needs. And I think that that's also something I really appreciate about Petra.
Yes, Isadora gets the job done. So Petra's smart to trust her.
Right?
All the jobs.
Yes, all the jobs, all of them. So at the time of this recording, we have only seen the very first episode of season 3. the second episode's airing like nowish. So basically where we kind of left off, there was like Petra's big first day on the job that we just talked about that was pretty hectic. And then we had about a month for her to kind of like get into that role of finally being head of the army. So when we pick back up with Petra again, like how is she transitioned into that role in that like month?
Well, the singing rain definitely ratchets things up a bit. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so
going.
I thought I had weather on my side.
But no.
So it's still hectic.
So it's still hectic, right? Because you can't, Petra, all of these new things emerging still have to be placed in a column, friend or foe, help or hindrance, threat or asset. And so I think that's also just sort of trying to discern what all these new things that are revealing themselves to her is also part of the challenge that she's facing, while getting a read on what are the clear and present dangers that the Camarilla bring to bear, and still trying to get a sense of, she may have sent her daughter and company off with Nicta, but there's a whole bunch of other spree out there still.
Yes.
So, that one is friendly when there's a whole infrastructure that's been created to not be. It's, there's still a lot to assess and get a handle on.
Absolutely.
That
was I think at the end of season 2 we were all kind of like, really? They're going with Nicta? Okay. I hope it turns out okay.
Fingers crossed.
Hey, bye, love you, see you. Bye.
Don't murder, okay.
That was always funny to me. But so the structure of the army seems to be breaking due to the Camarilla's influence in high places. How do you think Petra would fare in a world without that structure?
Petra's army to the core. So I think not only is it part of her worldview, I think it's part of who she is in terms of the values, her character, her sense of right and wrong. Like, I think there's so much of army that is her and vice versa. And that while that's getting expanded and reinterpreted and stretched in favor of the new information she's getting about, where Abigail is now and the continuum of that, I think she still needs it. I think she still really values that legacy and that history and that structure.
Oh yeah.
Petra is the army, basically.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where that rift in season 2 with Alder comes from. It's that this is not how we do things. We have a code. We may disagree, but we have to still respect the structure, if not what the structure yields. And I think, that's challenged for her, as those who get a grasp on the structure may not use it to its highest purpose. So, and I think, I've said it before and I say it again, like the levels of allegorical specificity that these 3 seasons have offered in terms of what's going on in our world itself cannot be missed. And yet what's wild is when you reverse engineer how far in advance it would have been written and then, shot and then produced, that it lands with such timing and precision to what that moment around it is still something that is nothing short of awe-inspiring to me in terms of how they've nailed it for 3 seasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like literally everything you just said. It's the cultural relevance of the show is amazing. It's one of the best aspects of the show. I'm so glad you pointed that out. It's beautiful. Thank you.
And that's one of the reasons that we're so grateful that we got the heads up that it was going to be a 3rd and final, because that means that we had the opportunity to have it written to a conclusion, which means that it will live as a complete experience for people to find and discover and draw inspiration and education and enlightenment from. So, so many previous things I've worked on, you go off to hiatus and then it's like, okay, so we're not coming back. So we don't know how that ends. We, you know, and then people don't find it. But in this sort of streaming world, it makes me happy to know that it will stand up 5 years from now, 10 years from now. People will see it and be able to see what they need to see and learn what they need to learn and extract from it what might be continue to be of service to the world as we sort of navigate these challenging times.
And we still haven't given up, even, because I don't know if you saw the billboard trucks that ended up outside of Hulu headquarters. Putting that together was an experience, and it was like every fan group in the entire fandom came together and just.
I don't know that you hear enough from us what it means to have you so embracing of our work and our efforts to bring you a good story, that these are the links you will go to have us stick around. Like, it has touched us. It has warmed our hearts. It has made it easy to get up early to go to work, because we just feel such love and community from the switches and from the Motherland Fort Salem fandom, that it can't be overstated how much it's meant to us. And that's been part of what's made it such a wonderful experience, and why we've been so happy that if we have to end it, we get to give back a finish of it,
right,
as opposed to just having it disappear and drift away. Like, I'm really grateful for that we get to offer that back, because
and in addition to that, I think it's the dedication and the love that you do feel from the fandom is also a reflection of you guys' work, like cast and crew. So
yes,
thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah. At the very end of the season 3 premiere, there's a very emotional reunion between Abigail and Petra. And so we're curious, what was that moment of just finally being able to talk to Abigail? What was that like for Petra to experience?
Relief. I think it's primarily that. Also, the sense of urgency to get the information that she'd given, so that she is aware of things escalating in terms of what might be a threat or a potential threat or motivation for her to watch out. Just love, joy, seeing your child. I was saying that I've heard it described, that motherhood is described as having your heart walk around outside of your body. And I think that that was an image that really stuck out for me in terms of what it would be like to have this threat chasing my child. So I think relief is the biggest thing, though, that she would have felt once they finally made contact.
Yeah, I'll bet. I can't imagine. And just, I love that when like Abigail like disappears in the mirror, like Petra just like kind of almost like lets it all hit her, and like, yeah, it seemed like a big moment. Like, relief is an apt descriptor.
Yeah. I also think that just it's over, like that. You anticipate something, you're so present and joyful in it, and then when it's gone, it's so ephemeral that it's like, there's no way to get that back. There's no way to get her back. You're just helpless, I think, is also part of that ending moment, where it's like, there's nothing I can do to help her. There's nothing I can get to her. I don't know where she is. Don't know how she really is. I'm hoping that I've taught her well. I'm hoping I've taught her everything she needs to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got to be hard for Petra. She's so in control so much. Like, to not have that be in her control must be very difficult.
It absolutely, it just hit you when you turn around and you see like that, your face. It's like, I don't know. It really had an impact. So,
thank you.
Of course. So a little kind of into the future, but not like a hypothetically question. How do you think Petra would feel about Abigail and Adil starting, like, having a baby, starting a family in the middle of like the Great War? I mean, we've heard witches deploying pregnant, but this is a whole new thing.
Well, I think Petra is still coming to terms with the idyll of it all in the first place. I mean, the nervous doesn't mean like Petra's completely on board necessarily. So there's that. But I also think, in this moment where they're under threat, anyone who's on my daughter's side, I think I'm going to look at it a little differently. So I think Petra appreciates that they are now a unit, and that Adil is part of the survival of Abigail, and that therefore she is part of his survival, and what that means being a soldier as well. So I think Petra has to find her peace with that, her sense of hope that this is going to be a good thing for them, but also the sense of peace that it is what it is, because circumstances have overtaken, and soldiers are trained to deal with things not as they would like them to be, but as they are.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point. So what is she like? What do you think Petra feels about the whole, what her said with the union of earth and sky? Because she's had a minute to sit with that.
And I think she's not 100% sure. She obviously knows who the Tarim are in terms of Adil's family's legacy and work, and obviously who the Bellweathers are. But whether it's the literal combination of them in terms of progeny, or if it's the combination of their work, or if it's the combination of work outside of them, there's so many ways to interpret that I think. And because it is delivered as a riddle, which is often meant to lead you towards an outcome that may not necessarily be the correct one, I think she's wary. I think she's not locked into any one interpretation. And I think that's part of that conversation about what it could or couldn't be. And I think they're in curiosity and investigation mode as opposed to settled clarity.
Because we kind of have a theory that it might be Khalida instead of Adil, but...
Wow, okay.
It sounds like Petra needs more intelligence about this before she can make a decision, which is wise.
This is where Kat is very conscious of how any reaction can get misinterpreted as a spoiler. So I'm just going,
we would never.
We're leaving it as a riddle. It's a riddle. Those are words you're saying, yes.
Wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in episodes to come.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's all part of the fun. We'll get there eventually.
Absolutely.
So we'll segue away from that where we won't get you in trouble. And on a lighter note, so on our podcast, we have this segment where we talk about like what characters do when they're off screen. And so I don't think we've ever talked about what Petra does off screen. And so does Petra like have free time? Like, does she know what to do with free time? And like, what would she even do? Like, does she have leisurely time off screen moments? Yeah. Does she have hobbies?
I think Petra's into gardening.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I can totally see that.
I think Petra, likes her forest walks. I think she likes her trees. I think she likes, I think that's one of the things she shares with Isadora is an understanding of how plants work. And I think that's an outflow of her understanding of weather, because weather is directly related to what things grow. So that's my, just picking up on where I've seen different motifs of where Petra is when she's thinking or what she's doing and things she refers to. I think Petra's a gardener.
I love that so
answer.
much.
That's so good. Yes, she's so a gardener. Oh, I love it. Thank you for that. All right. Petra's off screen.
I have no way to confirm that that's what was in Elliot's mind. That's what I chose.
It's our headcanon between the three of us.
Yeah.
Just us.
And Caitlin.
And
Caitlin. She won't tell Elliot either.
No one will know.
No one will know.
So, Petra and Alder had a rather complicated relationship, or have, as it were, with the whole like coup attempt and everything. So, what were Petra's feelings towards Alder, like growing up? And how did her upbringing influence her view of Alder?
Well, just doing the math of it all, Minerva would have served under Alder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And back at least another possibly 1 or 2 generations. So as such, Petra would have been completely in awe of Alder. and then yet still infused with Minerva's knowledge of Alder, which she's using to propel Petra towards her climb. So I think it would have been a complicated messaging, because I don't doubt that Minerva would have had her challenges and frustrations with Alder, but that she would have circumnavigated those issues to be able to still hold the rank and stature and standing that she does, while still knowing what Alder's weaknesses are and perhaps guiding Petra to what to look for and what to watch and how to, what the short way around getting things done in an Alder world would be. So I think that there's levels of things, right? You'd hear all the things that your mom admires about her boss, but all the things that she hates about her boss as well. And then you're going to try and go in there and level that up and be a bit more strategic. So, I mean, I think it's, politics all the way around. And yet they're also political on the same side. So, it's not that you're openly wanting to be removed from that environment. And I don't know that you'd have any real belief that you could truly level up, because this woman's been around for 300 years. So really, where are you going to go?
Right.
So I mean, I think, it's one thing to have your mom saying you can go even higher, but then but really, because she's been here a while.
She doesn't look like she's going anywhere.
Right.
She's got endless biddies.
Which is why it's only a procedural as opposed to a tactical or a coup attempt. It's all knowing the rules and maximizing the rules, out of concern for what a breach of the rules is. And I also think that's really important. I don't think Petra is malevolent. I think Petra's concerned for what risks and threats are apparent if Alder's playing fast and loose with the rules. What allegiances are they not living up to? What conduct are they, towing up to breaching appropriateness? And so I think when one sees that starting to slip and slide and be transactional and situational as opposed to a code, that's when things feel dangerous to a soldier like Petra.
Yeah, because puppeting the president is probably not the best idea, and very much outside of the rules.
And that the quiet part is being done outside and out loud repeatedly, I think, is like, where are you in your judgment? Where are you in your, who I grew up under would never have done that, thinks Petra. So therefore, what has happened and what do we need to be on guard for to protect what Alder's legacy is and what she's built in terms of a fighting force and character and conduct.
Yeah, it must have been hard to because again, like you mentioned, Petra has learned about Alder. I mean, everybody learns about Alder, but from Minerva too, and had an expectation going into the army, and then worked with Alder for a while, and then Alder just started behaving very, very differently. That must have been jarring to be like, what is going on? This isn't the Alder I knew and heard about, and
and remembering that Petra's experience of it is from inside. We watching the show sort of see all the moving pieces, but she's just experiencing this slow disintegration of the code. And so I think it would have been alarming and concerning and feel like a threat, and knowing that there's sort of other existential threats that they're not quite getting a handle on till the end of season 2 in terms of who the Camarilla are and what they're all about. Would make one wonder, how far have they infiltrated? Have they gotten to her?
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's
nightmare. Well, thank you.
Sorry.
Right now I'm scared. All right. So very recently we had the wonderful pleasure to talk to Bob and Arlen about their characters on Motherland, and we asked them kind of how they get into their characters, and Bob shared with us his favorite story that he loves to say, hello Clarice, from Hannibal Lecter, and then he's like, I'm Albert after I say that, which is hilarious. But we're wondering, how do you become Petra Bellweather? Is there any kind of routine you do or mindset you get into or media you use to become the general?
The uniform is a big part of it. Just the physical transformation, getting into, and you stand a little taller and you walk a little straighter and your shoulders. adopted a bit of a different bearing, and your head's a bit more less tilty, more straight up and down, and there's just a through line that uniform physically awakens in one way to put it on.
Absolutely.
I love that. It's very similar to Arlen's answer about like she talked about like the posture to become Nictus. I love that. It's just the general and the uniform. It's a beautiful uniform. I love the costuming on this show.
Gosh, the costuming.
They did amazing. And they were so comfortable, but you felt so powerful. So it was this interesting, you felt like it was your own exoskeleton because you felt powerful in it and protected by it, but you didn't feel constrained or constricted. I mean, we joked about, it's pretty much a Spanx-free zone here, In this world, we have evolved. So, you just felt, good. They were really good.
That's so
really interesting to hear that they were that comfortable.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I was in ROTC and the uniforms were not comfortable.
No, Tracy Bolton and her crew did an amazing job. I think we looked cool and we felt cool, and we felt that our range of motion was like there were so many small details that were infused into the creation of this look in this world that were just, you were grateful for it any given time.
It's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you hope the audience sees Petra's evolution from season 1 to season 3?
That when we know better, we do better. And that we can be solid in our knowledge, but have to be flexible in our intake of new information.
Those are just words of wisdom for life in general, honestly.
I was just thinking that. I'm going to remember that forever.
Yeah, like I need this on something to remind me.
I wish when we know better, we do better. I don't know if it's Maya Angelou. Like I can't claim it as my own. But it was very much the framework through which my exploration of Petra came. So that also allowed her to not be hypocritical or wishy-washy. She just kept trying to make the next right decision based on the next information she had. But it also meant that she had to evolve where she received information from. And so, expanding her channels, expanding her intelligence gathering, expanding who she trusted, and how and why, became part of that flexibility as opposed to the rigid established channels. So that first part of it, I think, is Maya Angelou in this, or Gloria Steinem. I can't remember. But the second part was just sort of where that evolved to for my interpretation for Petra.
Yeah, we're just gonna do t-shirts. This is not an interview. This is just work.
Yeah, no, we're just throwing that out there. It's so good.
Thank
you. So kind of before we wrap up and get into a couple more questions, we just kind of wondered from your point of view with working on Motherland and portraying Petra, if you had one important takeaway from time spent on the show or embodying this type of role. What was your main takeaway from it?
The power of women's voices, symbolically, that is how their powers were expressed.
Yes.
I don't know if, some people catch on to this and some people don't, but we never refer to magic. It's always referred to as the work. And I feel like, again, that extension of the allegorical nature of this show for these times, the work to be done is about the power and strength and clarity of women's voices, addressing head on the things that are clear and present dangers. And so I think bringing clarity to how I use my voice and being intentional and owning the power of it, it's only powerful if used. So therefore, to be silent in the face of things that need to be spoken on is a luxury, and I don't know that is of the highest service to the world if one luxuriates as opposed to activates.
Yeah, we definitely need those voices more than ever right now.
Right. So timely and poignant and beautifully said.
Yes.
That is a wonderful
Absolutely.
takeaway. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that.
Yes. So, you know, we have like a couple of kind of fun questions, I guess. So, in the next episode that airs tonight, we've already had a little sneak peek of Raylla and Scylla looking for a boat to steal. So, the question is, out of the fugitives, who do you think would sink the boat?
Who do I think would sink the boat?
Yes, who would sink the boat?
So I'm putting the 3 plus Adil and Khalida plus Scylla on a boat. 6 of them on a boat.
Yes.
Am I at Nikta as well?
Yeah, we'll put
Yeah,
Nikta
Nick
in
is there
there.
too. Yeah. Who's sinking the boat?
Or how do you think it would go down if it was like a chain of events?
Those are 2 different questions.
Those are 2. I'm trying to think who would sink it. Oh,
Is this on purpose or an accident that they're sinking this boat?
Does it matter?
Oh, this is a tough one because I know I'll hear about it because there are so many.
I'll put it this way. So we did the QFX convention and I got to ask a question of like the whole cast panel, and it was who would wreck the bus? And everyone said Raylla, except for Taylor. And then when everyone was like, Raylla, like, come on. And she's like, okay, fine.
So my instinct was kind of there, followed.
I mean, it's fair. Yeah.
Because I think
it's fair.
Crashing in the boat.
Because I think, yeah, it's kind of a split between them, but maybe I'm even a little like the tally of it all, trying to do something, and
it just goes wrong.
So close, Tal, but
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of because she's kind of a rush into the breach headlong kind of gal, right? So
yeah.
So it's not even from ineptitude. It may just be ill-timed enthusiasm that I could see it happen.
See, I think it's a combo of like, I think it's a combo of Tally and Raylla, honestly. And then Abigail's mad at them. And while they're singing, it's just got this funny image in my head of Abigail just like really.
Yeah, I could see if Tally starts the boat sinking, I could see Abigail just accelerating it to getting it over with, you know? So like Tally makes a little hole and Abigail, you think that's a hole? Here's a hole. Now let's get out. So I think, you know, I think I could see these combo efforts happening to.
Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for entertaining that question. And here's the other one. So in the trailer, we get to see a little sneak peek of a wedding, a double wedding with Raylla and Adil and Abigail. But Raylla doesn't have any pants on. So Caitlin really wanted to know how Petra would feel about someone not wearing pants at her daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
I think we've discussed the many avenues that Petra's experienced. Petra just wants to be in her garden, you know, with all of the things that bring her peace and joy. Nobody gonna mess with Petra's peace on her daughter's wedding day.
No.
That is absolutely fair. I love it.
I love that answer. Yes. She needs time in the garden after she sees the outfit.
I just imagine poor Petra having a hand in this wedding and watching it go down. I don't know. It just the chaos could be real.
Before we paint Petra into a box, we gotta remember too that this is a woman who has 3 husbands. So, you know,
that's accurate.
Petra, you know,
she
may
does.
in fact have a much more creative viewpoint on things than people give her credit for.
That is very true.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's just like, so we're doing it's a civilian wedding. instead of a military wedding, so it's a little bit looser.
There we go.
We'll just
Found our satin.
Petra in the garden.
Petra in the garden. I
Garden.
love that.
That's gonna happen. I'm totally gonna make a Petra in the garden edit. She's gonna have a hat, some gardening gloves.
Flower gloves. Right, we all went
Yes.
right to the gloves.
Yes,
Exactly.
She's not gonna get her manicure messy.
No,
Never.
she's not.
Not for the plants.
She's too classy for that.
She is.
All
And
right.
she is Adora. You know, she'll bring her. I made got you.
Oh,
some
yeah.
for the next
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I mean,
Our garden
once
buddies.
Isadora stops saving, is like done saving
Saving
everyone
the world.
with a vaccine and figuring out why Penelope's in the atmosphere.
I love her. She gets all the tasks.
We have like a whole segment of what is Isadora
Just
doing?
her.
Just Isadora.
Just her. She's so
Like, it's
fun.
like parallel timeline of Isadora's and
Literally.
Exactly.
everything else is happening.
Right.
Here, Isadora, you're the Necro Queen. Invent a vaccine. Go into infectious disease.
Already got one. What?
Game on, says Isadora.
Game on. Yeah, exactly. That's her motto.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up, and we just want to know if you have any final words for the fans, and like anybody that's out there. Final words from Catherine and Petra.
Thank you. Thank you for what has been one of the best experiences of my life, much less my career. Thank you for your love and your support and your commitment to creating a space where our stories are well received, for making us feel like a part of your world as you appreciate the one we're joining forces to make. It is seen. We see it. We feel it. We appreciate it. And we send our love back to you, because that is kind of the point of all this, right? Like forming community where we support each other and love each other and appreciate each other. And we may have started the ball rolling, but the Motherland Fort Salem fandom has really typified what that looks like, to work together and to rally together and to speak in support of something you believe in. And so just gratitude and appreciation and love.
Well, right back at you, and we're not done.
Yeah, no, thank you so
And
much.
we hope you
for
like it.
this.
We hope you like season 2.
We love it.
We already love it.
We're one episode in. We love it.
One episode in, and we're here for it.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making time to talk to us. We hope we can talk to you again, maybe when the season's over. And thank you for giving us the incredible.
Yes, because we're gonna need to follow up on this whole wedding thing
and the boat sinking.
I would love it. I would love it. Especially, I don't think there's any Petra giving pantsless side eye, but now you got me worried.
I'll let you know if we see anything.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be memed.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I'm sure. You'll see it before we do.
But
All right.
that's been a delightful aspect of it too, just the fun people have sort of interpreting and the mashups and the filters. Some of those filters are not flattering, though, I will say.
Oh yeah.
We're sorry.
Well, we will always be flattering to Petra on our end. So
all right,
no fears there.
I'm so grateful to have had this time with you, and I would love to come back and talk to you, hear how you find the end, how it lands on you. So feel free to reach out anytime. And again, thank you for amplifying the reach of the show and creating a space for people to hear some more about how we felt making it, because it was really a joy and a pleasure to be a storytelling service.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we've been Big Witch Energy. If you like this episode, check out all of our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please like, comment below, and subscribe for more amazing content. Hydrate for Lesbian Jesus.